Let's be honest. How many times have you opened up your DAW and just stared at the screen, not knowing where to start? That feeling of overwhelm is real. There are so many tools, there's so many directions you could go, that it sometimes feels like you're chasing shadows. I still fall into that trap, digging into a new method or plugin, only to realize that it didn't bring me any closer to finishing a track. But here's what I've learned. At the end of the day, none of that complexity really matters. What matters is simplicity. Whether it's in music or life, simplicity brings clarity. When you know what you're trying to say, the tools become secondary. Some of my best tracks have come from nothing more than a few basic waveforms and a few familiar plugins that I return to again and again. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to simplify your workflow, focus on what matters, and finish more music without getting lost in the noise. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's build a deep space ambient track focusing on simplicity. When I work on my own music, the first thought that comes to my mind is how can I simplify my own workflow to get to the end result as fast as possible? And one of the ways that I do that is I try to limit my palette of synthesizers and effects so I know what the tools that I'm working with are, and then I can use those tools effectively in my own workflow. So when I work here in the DAW, make sure that you're not focusing on the tools themselves, you're just focusing on the way that I'm working, all right? So we're gonna play in 82 beats per minute. I'll be playing in B minor here today. And one of the first synthesizers that I usually like to grab for when I'm doing a track is Hive 2. Hive 2 is a fantastic synth. It's really intuitive when it comes to the workflow, and maybe you can adapt some of these techniques to your own productions. All right, so let's go ahead and set our low pass filter to 12, and I'll go ahead and adjust my ADSR here. And we'll go ahead and set our transpose to 0. And yeah, let's go ahead and just kind of play some notes here. See what that sounds like. Very nice. All right, now let's get some filter movement going on, and we'll go ahead and use an LFO for that. I'll go ahead and set the restart to sync, and I'll go ahead and make this 401, make it a unipolar LFO, and drag this up to the cutoff here. And we'll add some voices of unison perhaps. Let's go ahead and add some of these, and we'll go ahead and play again. Let's see what this sounds like. Oh yeah, very nice. For deep space ambient, that's perfect. You don't want to get too crazy. Like I said, I use basic waveforms, simple techniques. This is basically how I like to work. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and lower the width down a little bit. And what we'll do is Hive has this great ability to put multiple oscillators through the same filter, which is basically how it's constructed. That's the architecture of it. So I'll put sub oscillator 1 through the filter, and I'll go ahead and switch to the triangle, lower down the volume. I'll also put oscillator 2 through the filter, and I'll go ahead and set oscillator 2 to a wavetable. Now Hive comes with a bunch of different wavetables. You can grab any one you want here. I'll grab one of these VT raw wavetables. This is from my friend Cameron from Venus Theory. And let's see what this one sounds like. There we go, number 47. That sounds good. And we'll use some random motion on this. So I'll go random glide on LFO 2. I'll set the restart to sync, and 1/1 looks good. And I'll go ahead and drag the target over to the position. And now you can hear that we've got 2 wavetables. Oh yeah. Very nice. So again, simplified workflow, not trying to complicate things, just using basic waveforms. That's what it's all about. Now let's go ahead and add some effects here. I've always got the same send effects going on in my DAW. You guys can see this. This is the Valhalla delay. Many of you know about this delay. It's just a dual dotted 8th note delay. I also use the FabFilter Pro R2. I'm also a big fan of Valhalla Room. These are all great choices when it comes to reverb and delay. All right, so let's go ahead and add some reverb and delay here. And let's go ahead and maybe record some of this in the DAW while I play. Here we go. Fantastic. All right, cool. So you could hear that I was just trying to keep my notes sort of, you know, simplified, but at the same time, have some motion in there. Let's look at our result. That looks good. Kind of clean this up here a little bit. There we go. I'm happy with that. Now let's go ahead and clamp this down. There we go. Perfect. So now we got a nice loop that we can kind of get ourselves warmed up to, right? Let that play in the background. As I said, Hive is a fantastic instrument. There's lots of like generative stuff you can use here with the function generators, the shape sequencers. That's just, this is just the starting point. Anyway, so we'll go with that, okay? Now what I like to do is I like to get a nice simple rhythm going. Space ambient to me, like deep space ambient, has nice subtle rhythms throughout, even if it's not, you know, percussive or sequensive. You know, it's got rhythm to it, right? Let's go ahead and set that, all right? I'll go ahead and put this through the synth bus. And now what I'll do is I'll grab a sequencer, the tried and true Stepic, right? And let's go ahead and set this up. So we'll go B2, natural minor. Note length is going to be 1/8. I'll lower down into 8 steps. And what I'll do is I'll take the notes that I know are going to be really good for this track, which is D, E, and F sharp. All right. And maybe I'll go like this, and I'll just add them all in line. There we go. You can kind of hear what's going on here, like, you know, as you're playing. We'll randomize the velocity here and randomize this direction. Cool. Okay. And I'll grab a synthesizer. Again, I like to keep things simple, right? I grab synths that I know are going to work right out of the box. Okay. One of them, of course, Serum 2. Could be Serum 1 if you still are rocking Serum 1, you know, either one. Okay, let's go ahead and just dial in a simple pluck here. Again, using the sawtooth waveform, not getting too crazy. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. Okay. That to me is like the best way to go about things. All right. So I'm just putting a sine wave and a sawtooth through this filter, and we'll just go ahead and put some simple motion here. Actually, let's go with normal. We'll go with 4/1. Perfect. Okay. All right. Looks good to me. And again, the dotted eighth note, dual delay, and the reverb are going right into it. So let's go ahead and see what this sounds like. Nice. So you can see, like, that's a good vibe. Nothing too crazy here. You might want to take a LFO and put it in sample and hold mode. And then maybe this could be something that moves the filter a little bit, just ever so subtly. So mono mode means that every single source that you send an LFO to is going to have the same exact like setting, right? It's going to be the same, not polyphonic, it's mono. So let's go ahead and send that to the LFO very subtly. Okay. So we're getting a little bit of extra, you know, juice out of our filter here with that LFO. We can also send the velocity to it. And what that's doing is it's really playing into our delay and reverb. Yeah. So I like that. Again, simple waveforms, simple techniques, harnessing the power of these tools in the best way possible. Not trying to get all super crazy, but just like, you know, keeping things really, you know, streamlined, efficient. Lower down the volume here. Okay. Let's rename this. This is our H2 pad. This is our S2 sequence 1. like to set a foundation for my tracks. Okay? Foundation-wise, it could be anything here. Let's use pigments for a nice simple bass. Okay? Again, simple waveforms. I'm not going to even leave the basic waveforms. Just really simple. Okay? It's almost like a yoga class. It's just like beginner. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just stay here. Okay? I like that. You hear that? That sets the foundation for later. I'm just holding down one note. Okay? But when I open up the cutoff filter, it changes the way you perceive that low end. The low end all of a sudden has character. It has a purpose. It has meaning. I like that. Let's use LFO1. Put it in unipolar mode. There we go. Oh yeah. Fantastic. Now, to give your bass a little bit more, how should I say, juice, okay? Use a second wavetable. You can also use the analog engine here, or the harmonic engine. That's a good one. The reason why the harmonic engine is good for this is because you can modulate some of this stuff. For example, you could modulate the tilt here, okay? This parity control. And I like that we're getting this kind of motion going on in the harmonic engine. Sounds good to me. Okay? Let's increase the depth here. I like that. There's also this these cluster controls over here. Oh yeah. That just gives a little bit of character, a little bit of bite. Speaking of bite, let's go ahead and add a multi-band compressor here. And we'll up the output. And I'm going to add a bit crusher. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hear that? And what I'll do is I'll take a random and I'll put it in random mode, smooth it out, and make the retree source free running. Very important to have a random that's just random voltage. This is something we do in modular all the time. Slewed random voltage is life. So we'll put it on the rate of sync and we'll leave it on 1/1. And I'll put it on downsample. There we go. Oh yeah. Perfect. And we'll even slow it down even more. Let's go 2/1. Excellent. Okay. So I'll just draw that one note in. We'll make it say 8 bars. I'm not getting bored of that sequence. It's still good. Like, it's still good. Okay, cool. And let's restart the whole thing. There we go. Add a little bit of reverb for touch. Okay. So now we're here. And you might be saying to yourself, okay, you know, I've been here myself. I've heard you do this 1,000 times. Like, what's the point? The point is to start learning how to expand what's happening here in different ways so you can take your music in any direction that you choose, right? It's not just about like the actual result. It's about the setup and the workflow and how you actually get there. So be not concerned that you feel stuck. Because if you feel stuck, it's just because you're like, well, what's next? But what's next is what you do right around the corner that's going to change how this is perceived. What I mean by that is if I added a second sequence to this, it's going to completely change the vibe and the flow of that first sequence, and it's going to take this track into another place. You might get another idea and say, oh wow, now I can do this, or I can do this. It's all about that next move, you know? That that next move, what's right around the corner, okay? Let's do that right now. Let's do it. Why not? Okay. I will take a wavetable here. Let's grab a wavetable from the analog collection here. And we'll use a 24 low pass filter. And we'll do a similar technique that we did with the pluck, okay? But this pluck's gonna sound a little different. It's gonna sound a little different because this is gonna be our faster pluck, okay? Notice I use a unipolar LFO here, or a unipolar envelope. And now I can use a sample and hold. I'll smooth out the sample and hold. And I'll make it 1 bar, yeah? And make sure you put it in mono mode if you want that to be consistent. All right, cool. Okay, this is looking good. All right, let's go to analog, basic shapes. Assign. There we go. Great. All right, let's use another sequencer here. We'll use another instance of Stepic. I just go back to Stepic sometimes, you know? I just go back to Stepic because it's just like, it's like an old standby. The workflow is really nice. All right, cool. Let's go 8 steps. And let's kind of give a random feel to this. All right, let's give a random feel to this one. There we go. And we'll randomize its direction. Yeah. No, we don't have to, but I think the octaves, that'll be enough. That'll be enough. Okay. So now I want you to listen really closely. How does this sound now? It changed it, didn't it? Yeah, it completely altered the way we're perceiving this. Because now I hear a different bass line. I hear something that's more progressive. I'm feeling rhythm. I'm feeling that vibe. So let's lean into that, okay? All right. So this is our bass 1, okay? And then we're gonna go sequence 2, okay? And when that bass ends, this could be our new bass line. Let's go back to the beginning and add hive again, okay? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a bass that's like kind of heavy, but short, plucky. It's got a vibe to it, okay? Boom, 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 like that kind of style, all right? So Hive has this mod envelope here, and I want you to get familiar with the idea of a mod envelope. It's what you saw me do in Serum when I used envelope 2. It's just an envelope, a secondary envelope to modulate something else, okay? So it has a knob right here that allows you just to kind of do it. So you can just right away, you can just kind of grab it and do it. Yeah? So you see that my filter's moving just because I have the mod envelope engaged. You see where I'm going with this? Yeah. All right, we'll do the same trick that we did before, and we will activate this LFO. Let's make it a synced LFO, and we'll make it say 2/1, and we'll drag it over to the cutoff filter. So as we play, let's make it 4/1. Yeah, I like it. Excellent. Oh yeah. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, let's actually record that. Let's record this, all right? There we go, just like that. Yes. Perfect. You can quantize this if you want. I'm just gonna leave it there for simplicity's sake. I pretty much nailed the recording. Now, you could dial this in and be like, all right, well, maybe it sounds a little low. Let's see what 0 octave sounds like. Or what we can do is add a sub oscillator. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Nice. All right, add a little gain to this. Yeah. Add a little vibe here. Let's add a little delay as well. So you see where I'm going with this now? Because now my mind is like, oh, like I start to get more musical ideas just because I added another sequence and I made another move. And this is how things evolve. And again, I haven't used anything but simple waveforms and simple techniques to kind of emphasize this is how I make my music. This is how I make Ascendant. This is how I make Starterra. This is how I make Signs of Life. How do you make your music? You know, what kind of tools are you using? And how can you simplify what you do to get here? That's all I'm saying. All right, great. We'll call this bass 2. Love it. Love it. Okay. Let's add another instance of Serum 2 here. And we'll add a little sauce on the top. Little, you know, some spice, right? 2.5 seconds of attack here. Add some release. Lower down our sustain. Add some decay. Okay. And let's use simple waveforms. We'll use 3 oscillators. One is basic shapes, sawtooth. The other one is a Serum 2. We'll go back to that Mother 32. And the third one is a digital wavetable lately. Okay? All 3 through the filter. And we'll use a filter envelope. So what I mean by this, remember, the mod envelope, the secondary envelope is something that controls something else, but it's also triggered by the same, you know, input. In modular, we completely decouple, you know, pitch and gate. But here in the software synthesizer world, it's a little harder to do that. So anyway, looking good, looking good. We could add some voices of unison to our first initial wavetable, lower down the detune. Come over here to the unison menu and lower down the width. You want to be careful of that. That's cool. Great. Now, one thing you could do, like on lately, like that's good, but the Mother 32, you might want to like do a little wavetable motion, wavetable position motion. Let's do something like that. Put it in mono mode, free running. There we go. All right. And we will add a healthy dose of reverb and delay here. And let's go ahead and hear what this sounds like. Now the melody's really coming through. Oh yeah, that's nice. That's really nice. That's really nice. Let's add a little bit more reverb here. Maybe add a little more gain as well. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. Okay. So, let's record this. Okay. Let's get inspired. Here we go. Very nice, very nice. Let's go ahead and crop this clip right here. Extend it out a little bit. Nice little 16 bar loop there. Extend some of these notes out. That's simply gorgeous. Oh yeah, with the reverb, the delay. Oh my gosh. Subtle motion there. Oh yeah. That's just simply gorgeous, man. Like, I love it. I love it. Fantastic. So, like I said, you see how simple workflows lead you to a result that makes sense, it sounds clear, it has potential, and that's really the place you want to get to. You don't want to be led down some weird road that sounds confusing and things aren't making sense. You want to go to a place where you feel like anything is possible. And if there's one thing that you can take away with this video is, how can I simplify everything that I'm doing on a fundamental level? So every time I approach my DAW and my tools and my synths, I know exactly what I want to do and exactly how to get there. And therefore there's no confusion about, oh, am I doing this right? Did Chris say this? Am I supposed to do this? No. Remove all that. And just keep on refining your process and refining your tool set and refining your skills to the point where it's automatic. You sit down or stand up like me, fire up the DAW, grab a synth, and go. Because that's how I feel. When I go to make music, like, I'm not thinking about, oh, maybe I should try this or do this. No. I'm just like, move forward, make progress, do the thing. So I want you to do the thing and you to be able to do the thing without question. Anyway, this is a fun one. I really enjoyed this. This is something I go over with my clients, the people I coach, is how can you just take what you're doing and then keep on polishing it up, keep on refining it until it becomes more of something like what you had envisioned. Because there's things that you can do, there's little bits and pieces of your process you can take that are really good and then set those aside and say, okay, this is what I'm going to focus on. I'm just going to focus on this and do that. And then keep doing that over and over and over again until it becomes, like I said, an autonomous process. You are just guiding the music. Music's already there. Just like Michelangelo said, the sculpture is already inside the marble. My job is just to remove it. So if we're dealing with sound and audio, the music is already in the universe. Your job? Just put it back together again. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. I am on Patreon, as you know. I have lots of tutorials on there that I do every single week for all my patrons, all my supporters. And it's a great place to be because I'm constantly releasing most of my stuff on Patreon. And yeah, I also do one-on-one coaching as well, like I said. So feel free to check it out. Link is down below in the description. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for being part of this community. And yeah, I'll be back again soon with more videos just like this one. In the meantime, take good care. And as always, keep your heads in the clouds and your feet planted firmly on the ground. I'm Chris from Science of Life. See you guys in the next video.